Welcome back to our channel, where we provide updates and undisclosed narratives on Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. We are excited to share the following news with you. Meghan Markle in turmoil over DNA claim links Giuliano's daughter to her. A lady who is 29 years old has come out and said that she is the first kid that Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, has not revealed to the public. There are now many claims that are circulating among legal and media circles that suggest that DNA evidence that has been validated by science confirms her account. This tale threatens to change the whole history of the lady who married a prince. Because of this discovery, it seems that the past has been methodically wiped out, that the first spouse has disappeared from all records, and that a newborn girl has been abandoned in the chase of Hollywood stardom. No longer is the issue if a secret of this size exists. Rather, the question is when the evidence will ultimately compel a reckoning on a global scale. Claim of bombshell DNA in the ghost daughter. The world of Meghan Markle is in danger of detonation. In the beautifully maintained environment of Montecito, California, where sunshine pours through pricey oak trees and social media postings sing of new beginnings and true living, Meghan Markle has erected a fortress of story. This town is located in the state of California. It is a brand that was established on the principles of compassionate parenting, telling the truth to power, and a never-ending fight for privacy against a hostile press. However, a seismic shockwave is now posing a danger to the structural integrity of that castle from inside. It is not a tabloid headline or a dissatisfied family member who is the source. Rather, it is a live, breathing individual who has a tale that corresponds with disturbing accuracy to the years that Meghan spent in her early adulthood. The identity of this woman, whose identity is being fiercely protected as the situation escalates, asserts that she is the product of a forgotten chapter in the Duchess's life. She was born a long time before the royal wedding, before the hit television show Suits, and even before the widely reported first marriage to producer Trevor Engelson. In accordance with the time frame that she provides, her birth would have taken place sometime between the years 1996 and 1997. At that time, Meghan Markle was a young woman on the verge of entering adulthood. She was a determined student at Northwestern University, and she had her sights set firmly on the sparkling horizon of a future in the entertainment industry at that time. Being just 19 years old, she was at a point in her life when an unintended pregnancy might have dealt a devastating blow to the aspirations that she had cultivated over her whole life. Unanswered questions have been a constant presence in the woman's life, according to those who are intimately aware of her assertions. According to reports, she was brought up by members of her family in an atmosphere where concealment was strictly enforced, and she grew up with the nagging realization that her roots were not what they seemed to be. The sort of silence that speaks louder than any denial is the kind of silence that was greeted with evasive replies or harsh silence whenever there was an inquiry about her real mother. As one person with knowledge of the situation described it, it was the quintessential example of a secret that was being hidden for a strong individual. The introduction of the internet and Meghan's meteoric rise to prominence on the international scene brought about a sea change. The young lady felt as if she was staring into a distorted mirror when she saw the visage of the Duchess of Cambridge across many platforms, including television, publications, and social media. According to the allegations, the likeness was indisputable, notably in the gaze and the grin. The story that she had been told her entire life started to fall apart, and it was replaced by a possibility that was much more complicated and agonizing, that her mother was one of the most famous women in the world, a woman who was publicly celebrated for her maternal devotion to two other children, Archie and Lilibet, while she, the firstborn child, remained a ghost. According to the stories, the impetus for this public appearance was not a desire for fame or wealth, but rather a basic human yearning for acknowledgement. Following a period of time during which she saw Meghan cultivate a public image as a supporter of women and a devoted mother, the putative daughter eventually became dissatisfied with the loss of her own identity. There were initial efforts made to communicate in a covert manner, using legal means, with the goal of having a private chat and obtaining answers. According to reports, however, such attempts were received with a wall of silence from the Duchess's agents, who saw her not as a prospective daughter, but rather as a danger that needed to be addressed. Reportedly, it was this entire shutdown, this last rejection, that prompted her to escalate the issue, which ultimately resulted in the quest for scientific evidence, which is the one thing that cannot be manipulated or silenced by a public relations team. A husband who was never in the world. It is necessary to go back in time to a period of Meghan Markle's life that her official biography seems to skip over in order to comprehend the basis of this stunning assertion. The public record and popular narrative trace her love past back to Trevor Engelson, whom she married in 2011 and divorced in 2013. Her relationship with him began in college, but for years persistent allegations have circulated about an earlier, more covert connection with a guy called Giuliano. These stories have been going around for years. He is the character whose presence is essential to the story of the hidden daughter, representing the missing link in the chain. The account that was cobbled together from people who were close to the periphery of the Giuliano family is that he and Meghan encountered each other during the formative years that Meghan was attending Northwestern University. According to the rumors, their relationship was a short marriage that culminated in a quick and passionate romance, as is typical for youthful love. In the midst of their youth, they made a pledge that would soon be put to the ultimate test: an unplanned pregnancy. This was not a great event, but rather a commitment that was made. For Meghan, who was just 19 years old at the time, this was a pivotal moment in her life. Each and every way ahead was loaded with imminent danger. A pregnancy that was known to the public would have required her to postpone her schooling, give up her dreams of becoming an actress, and bind herself to a life that was far different from the one she had envisioned for herself. The Giuliano family, who are characterized as a conservative Catholic family, allegedly disapproved of Meghan's intense ambition because they saw it as fundamentally incompatible with the life that their son had chosen for himself. They apparently lobbied for a solution that was extremely precise, pragmatic, and merciless when the pregnancy was discovered. This way would alleviate everyone's immediate difficulties while simultaneously creating a secret that would fester for decades. According to details provided by those with knowledge of the situation, the aim was for Meghan to carry the baby to term. At the moment of birth, the Giuliano family would assume complete custody of the kid and raise it as if it were their own. It is possible to eliminate the union itself by annulling the marriage via the Catholic Church. This is a procedure that proclaims the marriage to be invalid and unenforceable, as if it had never occurred in the first place. Undoubtedly, this is the reason why there are no divorce records available to the public. An annulment has the effect of cleaning the slate. Everyone was able to get what they believed they desired as a result of this agreement. The Giuliano family ensured that the kid would remain a member of their family tree. Joe Giuliano successfully escaped from a marriage that his parents had allegedly opposed. As a result, Meghan Markle was able to relocate to Los Angeles and follow her aspirations of being a Hollywood actress without the burden of having a child. She was free to move without any constraints or ties. The vow of quiet was effective for close to 30 years. The infant grew into a lady, the Giuliano family maintained their silence, and Meghan Markle became a celebrity and eventually became a duchess. In every way, it was a flawlessly done vanishing act. On the other hand, the one element that they were unable to control was the kid herself, who would eventually start looking for the truth about who she is. It has been stated that the DNA evidence, which is at the center of the present controversy, was acquired using means that did not need Meghan to cooperate with the investigation. Despite the fact that the Duchess of Cambridge would never voluntarily provide a sample, the lady and her legal team apparently investigated the option of conducting tests on her family members. As a result of obtaining DNA from known cousins on Meghan's family tree, A comparison study is able to establish paternity with an extraordinarily high degree of statistical likelihood. The findings, according to those close to the procedure, were conclusive, providing a match in the 99th percentile. This is the gold standard in DNA confirmation, which is the type of proof that can withstand the most stringent judicial examination. The existence of these findings has apparently been the subject of discussion in the legal community, and it is a ticking time bomb that is waiting for the appropriate moment to explode. The presence of silence and erasure in form. It is common for the reaction to a crisis to provide more information than the problem itself in the high-pressure world of celebrity reputation management. Together with Prince Harry, Meghan Markle has developed a reputation for being aggressively litigious if they feel that their narrative is being compromised or that their privacy has been breached. In a well-known case, the Duchess of Cambridge successfully sued the Mail on Sunday for publishing a private letter that she had written to her father. There have been other instances in which they have sent out attorneys and delivered severe remarks in public against various media outlets. Their tactic has always been to strike back, and they do it in a public and intense manner. The Sussex camp, on the other hand, has been shrouded in an unsettling quiet in the face of the most serious charge of her life, which is that she abandoned her own kid. To those who are spreading the tale, there have been no denials, no threats of defamation lawsuits, and no letters demanding that they stop spreading the story around. Legal professionals and public relations specialists find this silence to be deafening. A defamation lawsuit, despite the fact that it may appear to be the most obvious course of action for an innocent party, would initiate a legal process known as discovery. This would give the attorneys representing the defendant the authority to subpoena documents, compel witness testimony under oath, and, most importantly, petition a judge to conduct a DNA test under the supervision of the court. If Meghan were to challenge the allegation, she would put herself in the position of having to confront the same proof that the lady claims she had. As a result, silence becomes the only possible strategy. To deprive the story of oxygen, to let the public relations machine label it as a bogus conspiracy theory, and to hope that it disappears from the news cycle. It is important to note that this purported method does not exist in a vacuum. Critics refer to what they call a proven practice of narrative control via deletion as providing evidence of their position. There was a sudden and complete deletion of Meghan's famous lifestyle blog, The Tig, when she married into the royal family. Personal postings, images, recipes, and trip diaries that she had kept for years disappeared from the internet, leaving behind a thorough digital record of her life before Harry was born. The most notable of her family members who knew her before she became famous are her father, Thomas Markle, as well as her half-siblings, Samantha Markle and Thomas Markle Jr. She has made a concerted effort to emotionally remove herself from practically every member of her family. These are the persons who own the unadulterated recollections of her childhood, the ones who are able to provide tales that may be in contrast to the carefully crafted version of her life narrative. The conduct in question, according to researchers, goes beyond a straightforward need for privacy. It is a thorough and continuing effort to curate a brand, with the goal of ensuring that the public domain contains only the version of Meghan Markle that has been considered acceptable. The landscape of her life before Harry has become a landscape of narrative gaps and linkages that have been scraped together. They find themselves in a situation that is already ripe for suspicion when claims of a hidden daughter and a secret first marriage come to light. An instant issue that arises is not whether the narrative is accurate. Rather, it is why a person who has nothing to hide would put so much effort into concealing everything about her history. Every blog post that she deletes, every family member that she has severed ties with, and every query that she cannot seem to find an answer to, adds credence to the notion that there is a period of her life that she is adamant about burying. The whispers who decided to live forever. Even before the appearance of a claimant who was 29 years old and the supposed DNA evidence, rumors about Meghan's hidden history were circulating in various parts of the entertainment business. One of the most shocking pieces of evidence that has been neglected is a video interview that was conducted in 2019 with the actress Paula Trickey. Paula Trickey worked with Meghan when she was a briefcase model on the game program Deal or No Deal. During the interview, which took place at a time when Meghan was getting ready to give birth to Archie, Trickey was questioned about the metamorphosis that her old colleague had undergone, becoming a royal. In her response, she reacted with a stunning lack of apprehension, declaring as if it were common knowledge that Meghan had previously been married, had a kid with someone, and been divorced. Despite the fact that the revelation was a complete and utter bombshell, it did not even raise a ripple at the time. What did not take place after that is much more revealing. Despite her reputation for being a litigious person, Meghan Markle did not seek legal action against Trickey. It was never her intention to seek an apology or a retraction. The video, which is a weird and unrebutted testimony from a former coworker, is still currently available online. I do not understand why an actress who does not seem to have any motivation would manufacture such a particular and devastating narrative. Why would Meghan, who has filed lawsuits for far less, let such a claim go unquestioned when she has already done so? Her detractors claim that the only reasonable conclusion is that she should challenge the assertion, since doing so would result in a far more significant issue than just letting it go. A further, even more complicated idea is spreading among internet investigators, and it includes Meghan's own niece, Noelle Rasmussen. However, this thread of a secret kid threads itself into another theory at the same time. Samantha Markle, Meghan's estranged half-sister, has accepted Noelle as her daughter from a public standpoint. By virtue of the fact that she was born in the late 1990s, her age coincides nearly exactly with the period of the purported covert pregnancy scandal. The extraordinary physical similarity that Noelle has with her Aunt Meghan has been the source of significant curiosity. Many observers believe that this likeness goes beyond the usual genetic composition of a family, that Noelle is not Meghan's niece, but rather her biological daughter, whom Samantha chose to raise as her own in order to safeguard Meghan's budding career, is the hypothesis that proposes a shocking act of family deceit. Samantha is the one who promised to raise Noelle as her own. This scenario would provide an explanation for a number of mysterious dynamics. In spite of the fact that she is alienated from her own mother, Samantha, Noelle has maintained a public closeness to Meghan and has been protective of her. He has spoken of her aunt's compassion and generosity. It would make perfect sense for her to remove herself from the woman who raised her on a false premise and gravitate toward the woman who gave birth to her if she finally discovered the truth about her parentage. This would be the scenario that would occur if she eventually learned the truth. The elements of this idea fit together with a disturbing coherence, revealing the vast intricacy of the secrets that may be hidden inside the Markle family. Despite the fact that this theory is still theoretical, how it does fit together is scary. Whether the lady who is now coming forward, who is 29 years old, is indeed Noelle, or whether she is another kid completely, is still the primary enigma. It is possible to find the prince inside the castle of mirrors. Prince Harry, the man who has staked his whole future on the honesty of his wife, is at the heart of this personal and public relations earthquake. He has put his entire future on the integrity of his wife. On his whole future, he has placed his complete trust in the honesty of his wife. Due to the fact that Charles made a public declaration of his desire to protect Meghan from the very same forces that he holds responsible for the death of his mother, he made a dramatic departure from the monarchy, sacrificing his family, his country, and his royal heritage. His narrative has been one of unwavering devotion, of a husband who has protected his wife against a callous system and a predatory press that has questioned her intentions from the very beginning. He has never wavered in his commitment to his wife from the very beginning. If it turns out that these allegations are true, Harry would experience an amount of psychological harm that is incomprehensible. In addition to the exposure of material that had been kept secret in the past, there would be other aspects to it. Their relationship would suffer as a result of this enormous violation of trust, which is the cornerstone of their shared identity as royal rebels. It would be damaging to their relationship. They have established a narrative that pits us against the world, and this would result in the full collapse of that narrative. There is a good chance that his father, King Charles, and his brother Prince William, who supposedly cautioned him about the speed at which he was courting Meghan, would be correct in their suspicions. This was due to the fact that they were the same people of his family that he had previously abandoned. The information would cast a different light on every quarrel, every complaint of unfair treatment, and every interview that they had conducted. This would be the case because of the new information. If one were to take this into account, it would suggest that the concerns of the royal family were not the consequence of prejudice, but rather of prescience. Throughout his life, Prince Harry has been marked by the anguish of losing his mother, Princess Diana, and his ardent, almost primordial drive to protect his own family from a similar calamity. This is something that royal biographers have been highlighting for a long time. Throughout his whole life, this has been something that has always been there. This revelation would convert that instinct into a weapon against him, saying that the woman he was attempting to protect was harboring a secret that was more serious than any of the scandals that the Windsor family had personally faced. This would be a weapon against him. It would give the impression that she was allegedly concealing the fact that she had a child that she had abandoned, while at the same time he was publicly supporting her and asserting that she was real. However, the hypocrisy would not only be devastating to their public image, but it would also be devastating to the intimate realities of their marriage. Both of these things would be devastating. There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit cramped. Princess Diana famously joked of her own troubled marriage. It was a little packed. There is a potential that Harry is experiencing a recurrence of the past, not with another girlfriend, but with the ghost of a daughter and a past that he was under the impression did not exist. Following his departure from the royal family, he has been able to build his life on a foundation of unwavering honesty and advocacy for mental health. In the case that a falsehood of this magnitude were to take place, it would be irresponsible to make fun of those very same ideals. Either he would be a man who was incarcerated, obliged to either stand by a lady whose whole background may have been a lie, or he would be forced to realize that he gave up all for a narrative that was never true. Either way, he would experience the consequences of his actions. Given the length of time that has passed, there have been indicators that the fairy tale that Meghan and Harry have presented to the world is beginning to break down. On the other hand, this is not a fracture. Rather, it is a daughter who has been concealed, a life that has been given up so that another might start. A catastrophic event has occurred. This absolutely undermines the plot, and it leaves the reader with a question that is both unnerving and disquieting. Who is the real Meghan Markle exactly? The Duchess is well aware that this story is gathering traction somewhere inside the calm of their estate in Montecito, which is teeming with sunlight. She is aware of the fact that the daughter whom she allegedly intended to eradicate is now speaking up, and she is pleased with this development. She has spent her whole life denying the possibility that her DNA, which is an unalterable code of truth, may shortly confirm what she has not accepted. This is something that she is capable of doing. Currently, you are feeling the sense of a history that is not buried anymore, a history that is alive, walking, and wishing to be heard. This is the experience that you are experiencing. It is possible that the woman who longed to be a princess would be shown to be nothing more than another person who came to the understanding that the price of fame may sometimes be the family itself when it finally discloses its truth to the public. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.